all the cold weather outside is a good time to have storytelling. So Luke comes to us, Luke Yankee, as a writer, director, actor, and producer. He's worked all over this country and abroad as well, but he has a one-man show called Diva Dish, stories and memories about growing up as the son of an Oscar, Emmy, and Tony-winning actress. And I'm going to sit comfortably and simply let him begin. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. That was lovely. Welcome. I'm so honored to be here this afternoon in this company of incredibly talented performers. My mother was an actress named Eileen Heckert, and a lot of times people don't recognize the name, but I brought a copy of my book to kind of show you her face. Because sometimes when people see the face, she was a character actress. She won an Academy Award for the film Butterflies Are Free. She was in the Theater Hall of Fame. She received several Emmys, a Tony for Lifetime Achievement. And as a matter of fact, I've been speaking with Linda and Howard about doing my full one-man show here as a presentation. And I believe, if things go according to plan, the date we're looking at is May 18th? 19th? 18th. May 18th. May 18th, yes. So Linda wanted me to come this afternoon and just give you a little taste, a soupçon, if you will, of what I'll be doing on May 18th. So I grew up in Connecticut, and my mother was mostly working on Broadway when I was young, and she loved Christmas. And I want to share with you a few stories of my mom at Christmas. And one in particular, when I was a little boy and she was working on Broadway, one of the things that she would do is that on her day off she would take the train into Manhattan and she would go around to the various department stores and sort of scope out the Santa Clauses and figure out which one had the best routine that year so she knew where to take me. Well, this particular year she decided it was Macy's. So on her day off, she got me all dressed up in my little Christmas sweater, and we went in on the train, we waited in line, and I got up to the front of the line, and as I was meeting Santa, who of course was an unemployed actor, took one look at her and said, "Yankee, my God, how are you? It's been years!" She thought, I am going to kill this SOB, ruin Christmas for my child, he's going to be scarred for life. But you see, I took it a different way, because I knew that only Mommy's really close friends called her Hecky. And if Santa knew Mommy well enough to call her Hecky, I was getting everything. So after we finished with Santa, she took me over to Sardi's, the famous theatrical restaurant, for lunch. And Vincent Sardi took her caricature off the wall and showed it to me up close. And he served me my ginger ale in a champagne bucket with a swizzle stick. Oh, I felt like such a grown-up. So as we're having lunch, all of a sudden, Soupy Sales blew a kiss to my mom from across the restaurant. Now, Soupy Sales' kids show was the hottest thing going at the time. And I thought at age 6 that Soupy Sales was it. I said, "Mommy, do you know Soupy Sales?" She said, "Well, darling, as a matter of fact, I do. Would you like to meet? Would I like to meet him?" So she beckoned Soupy over to the table, and he paid his respects. And when he walked away, I said, "Now, Mommy, you tell me the truth. Did my older brothers ever meet anybody as important as Soupy Sales?" And she's thinking Paul Newman, Debbie Reynolds, Marlene Dietrich, and she looked me right in the eye and said, "No, my darling, they never met anybody." Santa Claus and Soupy Sales in the same day? I tell you folks, I could have died happy at age 7. Now, my parents had a big Christmas party every year, and there was a point in time where you sort of knew that you had arrived on Broadway if you were invited to Eileen Heckert's tree trimming party up in Connecticut. Well, this was a grand affair, and some of the people over the years who came to the Christmas party included Christopher Plummer, Blythe Danner, Doris Roberts. One year, Paul Newman gave me some pointers on how to upstage my co-star in children's theater, and I loved him for that. And Mom was always trying to outdo what she had done the year before. And this year, she decided she wanted to make, she wanted an elaborate dessert, something called a croquembouche. Now, this is a tree, a tower, made out of profiteroles, little tiny puff pastries. Almost looks kind of like a pyramid or an obelisk. and it's held together with spun sugar, and you break them off one at a time and eat them. Very difficult thing to make. So she called caterers all over Fairfield County until she could find one who'd even heard of the damn thing, let alone was willing to make it. So finally she finds this one caterer who says, yes, I know what that is. And if your party is next Sunday, well, I suppose I could have it for you by Wednesday. Hello, this is Mrs. Yankee, because that was her maiden name, a name she was known by up in Connecticut. Who? I'm calling about the croquembouche. Oh, no, it's not ready yet. Call tomorrow. On Thursday. Hello, this is Mrs. Yankee calling back. I had a dinner for 200 at the UN last night. I couldn't possibly have it for you today. Call tomorrow. So as this goes on and on, Mom is getting more and more nervous that she's not going to have any dessert for her guests. So finally, the day of the party, I drive with her over to this caterer's big house, and we go into this very elaborate kitchen. And this rather snooty-looking lady is there applying rosettes to a cake with a pastry tube, and she's saying, yes, it's on the kitchen counter. You can leave the check in the wicker basket by the door. Carry it carefully. So as I'm carrying the croquembouche for dear life, I'm thinking, dear God, if I break this, I will be grounded for the next 50 years. So the minute we got in the car, Mom lit a cigarette and she said, oh, that caterer was such a bitch. I will never do business with her again. And I said, yeah, she did seem pretty uppity. What was her name anyway? Martha Stewart! And as many of you know, before Martha Stewart became Martha Stewart, she was a caterer in Connecticut. Many's the time. As a kid, I was at weddings or bar mitzvahs where Martha was dancing around with the canapes and terrorizing the kitchen help. So the year of the croquembouche, Mom had this wonderful Broadway agent, and his name was Milton Goldman, and he was sort of an institution. He handled all the biggest stars on Broadway. So about a month before the Christmas party, Milton called my mom and said, Hecky, I would like to bring a special guest to your Christmas party with your permission, and that guest is Ethel Merman. I was over the moon, because I had just seen Hello, Dolly on Broadway, and I thought Ethel Merman was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Now, I have to tell you folks, at age 10, this kind of news doesn't go down too big on the playground. Who's coming to your parents' party? Ethel Mertz? Well, yeah, she's going to be there too, and her name is really Vivian Vance, but this is Ethel Merman. She's a big... Well, they didn't care and they didn't want to care. But around the house, it was all I could talk about. Till finally, Mom said to me, now listen, you mustn't gush over Miss Merman. Big stars don't like that. You may tell her how much you enjoyed her performance in Hello, Dolly once, but leave it at that. So the night before the party, I was so nervous I could hardly sleep. And that morning, I could barely even button the buttons on my little Christmas vest. And as Miss Merman arrived, I went up to her and said, how do you do, Miss Merman? It's such a pleasure to meet you. I really enjoyed your performance in Hello, Dolly, and my mother would like to know if I could fix you a drink. And she said, sure, kid, I'll have a martini. Oh, well, Miss Merman, I'm only 10 years old. I'm afraid I don't know how to make a martini. Come on, kid, I'll show you. And in a true Auntie May moment in my life, Ethel Merman led me over to the bar and showed me exactly how to make her variety of martini, which was stirred and not shaken. And here I am at age 10. I could barely see over the bar. And I'm holding this big half-gallon of Tanqueray gin, and I'm so nervous that my palms are sweating so much, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to drop this on Ethel Merman's foot, and she's going to be out of Hello, Dolly for the rest of the run, and it's going to be all my fault. Mercifully, that did not happen. That's pretty good, kid. Tell you what, Luke. You can be my personal bartender all night long! So for the rest of the party, whenever anyone would say, Merm, can I freshen your drink? She'd say, no thank you, Luke's taking care of it! So as the evening wore on, I went up to my mom and I wanted to ask her a question about my new best friend, Ethel Merman. And I said, Mom, if it's not too much trouble, do you think I could invite Miss Merman up to my room to see my puppet collection? I was really into puppets and marionettes at the time, and boy, between the puppets, the marionettes, and the love of musical theater, if my parents didn't suspect something by then, they would never. But Mom was really great in her response. She said, now, my darling, you may ask Miss Merman, but you have to understand she's a very important lady. And there are a lot of people here who want to talk to her. So you mustn't get your feelings hurt if she says no. So I waited for an appropriate moment. I think Miss Merman was just coming out of the loo. And I went up to her and I said, excuse me, Miss Merman, if it's not too much trouble, do you think you could come up to my room and see my puppet collection? And she said, well, maybe. And I immediately got it. I said, oh, it's all right, you don't have to. I know you're a very important person. A lot of people here want to talk to you. It's okay, I understand. So I went away with my tail between my legs, but I got over it pretty quickly, the way kids did. And about 10 minutes later, Milton Goldman came in and he said, hey, Merm, come on, limo's going to be here in a minute, get your coat. And she turned and then she went, wait a minute, Milton, I got to go upstairs and see Luke's puppets. God bless her, she came up to my room and I only showed her the top 5 instead of all 55. And a week later, she sent me a lovely Christmas card with a thank you note saying, Dear Luke, thank you for taking such good care of me at your parents' party. Merry Christmas and love, Ethel Merman. She will forever have a tender place in my heart, and I still know how to make a fabulous martini.